Life is such a blur. Email details, more stuff. My business is consuming me. Am I really living? When do I get to do what energizes me and enjoy the rewards? Welcome to your second life. All is now doing what you love and loving what you do. It's radical creativity. Here's your host, the VIP coach, John Davidson.
All right, it's the VIP coach coming to you. It is August of 2012, and very, very pleased to be here with you folks on this show. This is a shout out to all the entrepreneurs throughout the world that are looking to make their dreams happen. You know, the listeners of this show are individuals who have run businesses. They've been in their careers 5, 10, 15 years. And these are individuals that are really looking to make a significant jump in their careers. You know, your objectives are absolutely clear. You want to create a business that has a great growth potential. You want to create a sustainable business, but you also want to create an outstanding life. You want a better business and you want a better life. That's primarily what drove me to create the VIP Coach coaching program in 1998. You know, I saw entrepreneurs, including myself, struggling with the kind of tensions between the personal and professional dimensions of life. That when we go out in the marketplace and we keep getting new deals, new checks, new relationships, we reach a point where we hit a ceiling. And that ceiling gets so complex, so frustrating, that despite any extra effort, it's a diminishing return. There's a downward thrust, we contract, we try to stretch, but we have to consolidate because the system is just not scalable. It's not built for helping us go to new levels. And the reason why we kind of become prisoner of our own machine, you see, our very success becomes the source of our very limits. What do those limits feel like? What are the symptoms of those limits? Well, if you're listening to this show, it might feel a little powerless. You might be saying to yourself, you know, JD, I don't know if I have the power to create what I want. You know, this business has got me in so many different directions. Every time I go into the office, it's like a snake pit. Ow! Ooh! I'm getting bit or I'm getting stung. Or you want to get through your day, you've got all these priorities to get through, but whoop, you got more paperwork, whoop, you got more voicemails, whoop, you got 200 emails. Next thing you know, you're just smudged. You're smudged and you're submerged in way too much stuff. And stuff, remember, to our VIP Coach listeners, stupid things you fire first. Stupid things you fire first. Now, today's show you're going to love. You know what it's going to be about? Liberation. Today's show is about liberation, mobilization, and let me start by saying this. If you're going to be liberated and motivated, the underlying theme, the underlying structure that's really making you hungry to be liberated and motivated in your business is that you have too much on your plate. And the way to get freedom in your business is to multiply. You've got to multiply yourself and let go of certain tasks to get leverage, to get up to the next level, to get motivated to go further. Because when you're doing all the tasks that you don't like, that you're not good at, that you're not suitable for, you cheat everybody. You miss out. First of all, you cheat yourself because you start investing yourself in ways that you don't want to go into work. And that's not going to produce good work product, and you owe that to your customers. Number 2, can you imagine working for an overtired boss? Have you ever worked for someone or come home to someone constantly who never gets enough sleep, who's always doing the things that they hate? There's an irritability, and you feel that you want to repel them. See, when you're not operating at your highest, when you're not operating in a liberated and mobilized way, to be able to have that creative freedom that I talk about on this show, to be able to maneuver, be able to handle the activities, to be creative, to handle all the right brain, big picture stuff, the stuff that makes your business exciting, that fuels your entrepreneurial spirit. When you take all that away, work isn't regenerative, it's degenerative. Why should work be degenerative? And the side effects long term, the kiss of death. One of the number one causes of business failure is the entrepreneur loses their spirit. They lose their enthusiasm for what they're doing. And one surefire way to lose your enthusiasm is to get caught up in a bunch of tasks and activities that are not suitable to what you're really best at doing and what you're most spirited at doing. So, we're going to stop. We're going to take a moment to really think, really reflect, work on your business here. This is going to be kind of a workshop show. It's going to be a show where you're really going to be doing some writing and things. So pick up your pen, grab a couple of sheets of paper, roll up your sleeves, and let's get into it. This is the kind of stuff that we do in the VIP Coach program, is getting the entrepreneurs to take stock, really reflect on what they're doing with their time and how they're managing themselves. So first of all, recognize that you're probably focusing a lot of your time. I'm just guessing, and you probably, you don't want to look at this because you'd have to change something. We don't want to look at reality, right? It's like an acquired taste. Oh, gee, we got to actually change something. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to imagine that you're hovering over yourself for 1 week. You're kind of walking by you. You're a spectator. Imagine you're in a helicopter, and you're walking over your own business course of the day. You're right there with you. You're a companion. You're an observer. You're a spy. Okay? And as you look at that, as you go into your mind, close your eyes as you go into your mind, just start to imagine, just start to pick off what it is that you actually do. Now, you may be saying to yourself, yeah, but JD, I know what I do. It's very simple. I know what I do. I'm myself. I'm with myself all the time. But that's like saying I know how I spend my money. See, why do we track our expenses? Because blindness is a huge cost, and we tend to look over and miss critical things, critical trends, critical areas that are undermining our financial independence. So we find all these areas where we're going, whoa, I didn't realize how much I was spending on this or that or this or that. You begin to really take stock of what you're really doing. Very eye-opening, very generative, very formative. It's great because it gets you to think differently, to actually act on something. It gives you a point A, a starting point. So I want you to take stock in the same way. Where is your time going? Imagine you were to audit your time every 15 minutes and journal exactly what you were doing. So in other words, describe the item. Maybe describe who you were with. That might be interesting. That might be an interesting trigger to how you're spending your time, who you're with when you're spending that time. And number 3, where you are. Are you in your car? If you're saying I'm running errands and you're journaling that, and you're saying, well, I'm with my assistant, and I'm running errands. I did that for 2 hours. You're not going to like what you said to yourself. You're not going to like your findings. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing that. But again, it's a catalytic process. It's a catalyst to get you to act differently. Now, again, write down as many activities as you can think of. So maybe you have emails, you have filing, you have phone calls that you're making. Who do you tend to repeat those calls to? Maybe you have emergencies to handle, things that you handle to screaming customers, things of that nature. Maybe you lead meetings. Maybe you have some off time. Maybe you do some planning during that time. Maybe you're handling emails. Maybe you're processing certain types of contracts, auditing them, or paperwork. Or maybe you're handling phone calls, what types of phone calls, maybe bundle them together into one category. Or maybe you are preparing proposals, or perhaps you're actually performing or carrying out your service. You're delivering something, if you're a consultant, for example, or an advisor, or an attorney, or maybe you're writing briefs, or maybe you're taking notes. Maybe you're entering certain things into your system. Maybe you're scheduling. Really get down to the ground, meaning that you really take stock. Don't assume it's too small to record. Really, really look. Do this for yourself. And actually from this, obviously this is not a coaching session, but what you would normally do is just take 1 week and itemize what you do every 15 minutes. It's kind of hell week, right? Because you're not used to doing that. You're used to just doing, but you're not used to watching and observing. But again, you may want to write down actually what you're doing every 15 minutes. All right, so let's assume that you have a healthy list to start with here. Or you've done the time audit, all right? You've gone through that. You've written what you do down every 15 minutes. Now, here's what you're going to do. You're going to section your time into 5 different categories. You spend your time in 5 different ways. Number 1, fatal incompetencies. What are fatal incompetencies? And I've realized that entrepreneurs, when they get into a funk, when they do something that they absolutely just cannot stand doing and they get bad results, they make mistakes, there's 2 reasons why. Number 1, either they're just very, very bad at it, and or number 2, they have no energy from it. Okay, look at both of those. Is the task energizing to you at all? Okay, does it get your honest spirits going and get you excited? Number 2, do you have any superiority of skill, or do you have inferiority of skill? A fatal incompetency is missing both. It gives you absolutely no energy. In fact, it takes the most energy out of you. It's the biggest vacuum and suck. And it is something that you absolutely, no matter how hard you try, you've never increased your level of skill. You've been at this a long time, but you don't get more skillful at it. So just take stock for a moment, and of your list, write down an F. Yeah, the letter F is in Frank, like an F on a report card. You get an F. This is your worst of the worst. These are called never-agains, fatal incompetencies. No matter how hard you try, you're never going to get better at it, and it gives you absolutely no energy to do it. Okay, number 2s. You spend your time on things that you're competent at. In other words, these are par. These are average. You know, you get by doing these kind of activities. And I'm not talking about your golf game. No, we're talking about work-related at this point. What are the activities that you're pretty good at? You get by. You know, you're not great at it. Doesn't give you any energy. But there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of individuals that could do this better than you. So what is the thing that you do that you're pretty competent at? You know, for me, it's writing. You know, writing, I'm pretty good at it. It doesn't give me energy. It takes a lot out of me. But I'm pretty good at writing. I'm competent at it. There's a lot of better writers out there than I am. You know, I say too much. And bottom line, I don't really enjoy it. I've just noticed there's just a lot of people that can do better than me at that. And so that's number 2. That's the second way you spend your time. Here's the third way. You have activities that you're not good at, but they give you a lot of energy. You know, they're not things that you're very, very good at, but you get a lot of energy from doing it. I'll give you an example that's out of range of business. It's piano. You know, for me, I'm really not a good piano player, but I love sitting down and just hashing out some tunes. I like attempting to get better at it. You see, that energy is a great source for learning. This is called potential incompetency. Potential incompetency. I'll give you an example. You know, I love going out and, let's say, boogie boarding. I'm not very good at it. I don't carve very well. I get eaten up by the waves. But, you know, that really energizes me. Despite getting rolled around in the riptides and so forth, I really enjoy it, but I'm not very good at it. But by the fact that I'm going out there a lot, I get better at it every time. So these are called potential incompetencies. You know, for me, I started off speaking. I did a lot of speaking, getting up in front of groups, and I wasn't very good at it, but it was pretty energizing. So by virtue of that energy, I can use that as a source for learning. See, I have less resistance to recover and get back up from a mistake. That's the key. Learning comes from, sometimes we do things, obviously we don't do it well, but the energy, it helps us recover and it inspires learning. So those are 3s. All right, now this gets even more exciting. So let's go with your 4s and 5s. Now, I want you to draw a circle about the size of a quarter. Okay, draw a circle, and I want you to put the number 4 and the number 5 in the middle. Now, this circle suggests a boundary. Something's inside, something's outside. What's outside are the tasks that are 1, 2s, and 3s. Okay? Things that you're fatally incompetent at, you've got your par incompetent activities, and you have your potential incompetencies. Things that you'll learn better. It's going to take a while, but you got energy to do them. But inside the circle are your 4s and 5s. And what this suggests is a domain that you're going to protect. You're not to foul out of this space. And I want you to think of the word fort. I've talked about the fort strategy on this show before, but we're actually getting into the tactical part of how to position it. And if you remember the fort strategy, we all have a superior skill that's factory made. It's in our fingerprint. We do it better than anybody. It's category of 1 because of resonance. It's not because we just suddenly are getting better at it. It's how much the task actually resonates with us. In other words, it gives us energy. If we did it all day long, it would give us energy. And the fort becomes a magnetic influence. In fact, if we put it at the center of our business, it becomes a very powerful organizing structure from which we say no and yes. It's kind of an intake barrier. We become our own bouncer. And we say, you know, if there are things that I do that are within the scope of my domain of self-efficacy, which is our fort, forte in French, meaning superior skill, I'm going to be most effective. See, you are the most powerful, important asset in your business. And the asset that is the most powerful and potent for you is your talent. And that's because your talents can influence your earning power. It's the one thing you can control. More than stocks, more than real estate, your earning power is the number one asset that you have, and you are the number one asset to your business. Why? Because if I put you head-to-head with another business owner, and you guys had the same opportunity and the same market and the same startup capital, everything was the same, one of them is going to do better than the other. Why? Because it's who's leading it. It's because of your habits, behavior, and thinking that's at the helm, that's at the wheel of that business. So it has everything to do with how you think and act. Your behavior, your business depends on that. You owe it to your business to operate within your fort. Interestingly, in music, forte means loudest volume, right? When we operate in our gift, when we operate in our personal gifts, our essential self, authentic self, we operate within what we love, we become clear that we really owe something to the world. It's like a sacred project. It's a part of us that we're meant to operate from, and someone out there is really meant to be served by it. So you were brought here to in some way. It's truly purposeful for you to operate within this because you're kind of listening from the whole. The whole is informing you by that love, bringing you into who you are, saying, please, please, this is the debt that you owe. Please surrender. Please have the courage to be attentive to this. Please make the sacrifices necessary. Evaporate any walls in your way. Please position this. That's what the fort is. And I remember when I was a kid, we used to have a bully named Rick. And Rick would come around and try to wreck our fort. And Rick taught me two things. One, you have to build it strong so Rick can't ruin it. And number two is you got to have license to enter. And that's how I suggest you look at fort as a 4 and a 5 category in your life. These are the tasks that are the 4s. The 4s are the tasks that you have a superior skill at. You're brilliant at it. You're excellent at it. In fact, people have relationships with you for this. You're better than anyone alive, potentially. So itemize in your activity list, what are 4s for you? But a 5 is different. See, 5 has the resonance. 5 has that love that you inhabit when you do this thing. You get energized by it. It's voluntary energy. It's psychic salary. You do it all day long. It's not about the money. It just really gets your spirits flowing and gets you excited. This is it for you. That's what we call it. It's what's it for you. So what would it mean if you set up a game plan to operate about 80% of your time among a 4 and a 5? What would it really translate into? What kind of relationships would be accessible to you? What kind of results would you be able to accomplish? What kind of freedom would you be able to feel? What confidence levels would you be able to operate at? I'm going to talk about that just a moment. Okay, hang out. There's a couple commercials coming here. We'll be back. Talk to you shortly.
It's Monday morning. I'm drained.
You've got mail.
Look at this. It's the Monday Advantage video. Yeah! Now I can get past the distractions and implement something new. The Monday Advantage. It's that easy. Just subscribe free for a limited time at highlevelperformance.com. Every Monday, launch the week with fresh tools, giving you the right state of mind, focus, and confidence. See what becoming a gifted boss and serial creator is all about. Subscribe today at highlevelperformance.com. That's highlevelperformance.com. And start enjoying your Monday Advantage today. Grow your business and grow as a human being with these captivating books authored by the VIP coach himself, John Davidson. The Day I Built My Barbecue is about creative freedom. Learn how you can not only live well, but also grow a thriving business at the same time. John shows you his step-by-step technique with the principles, strategies, and steps to move from a business operator to a business owner. The Day You Build Your Barbecue is the day we all wish for. Totally free of distractions. Totally available to living well. Fully present. Then don't miss Unstoppable You. It's about creative value. When we do what we love and love what we do, we discover ways to make our business more fun and monetize our passions. Through stories, tools, and steps, this book will help you bring something to the world that no one else can and bridge your most unique talents to the deepest aspirations you have of the future. And stand in the presence of all you are. It's about creative purpose. What does it mean to live on purpose? How do we work with the mystery that life presents us at every moment. In this book, John shows us through the silent spaces in life how to connect with our innermost sacred projects and passages. You'll learn how to bring the work, language, and presence of the soul into everything you do. Visit highlevelperformance.com to pick up any of these books in paperback or Kindle editions today. That's highlevelperformance.com.
Having a life where you have the creative freedom to do what you love and to offer the world something that only you can bring to the table. That is the world of high-level performance with John Davidson. That is the world of radical creativity. That is the world that you can be a part of when you realize all that is holding you back is you. Begin the journey through one-on-one coaching that gives you the finesse for business and lifetime achievement, and find your place on the roadmap to high-level performance today. Visit highlevelperformance.com.
What matters to me? What is my true work?
Monetize your passion and enjoy creative freedom with the VIP Coach. You're listening to Radical Creativity with Executive Performance Coach John Davidson.
All right. Folks, welcome back. Thank you for taking the break with us. And you're listening to Radical Creativity from the VIP Coach. And this show is about liberation. It's about mobilizing you. It's about taking things off your plate. It's our offloading that we need to do to return us and kind of rekindle the spirit of our joy as an entrepreneur. You know, you got into business because you wanted freedom. It wasn't about the money. All the money is the byproduct of how well you're able to access what we're talking about. I mean, listen, if you're focusing your time and attention on activities and areas that you are really effective at, let's face it, what are the returns? You maximize your asset. You maximize your talents. So you get paid by going out in the marketplace and creating value by being more of who you are. And when you start to realize what your community wants around you, they want this part of you. They need this. They depend on this part of you. You were put here to administer, to be insistent on this part of you. And I find entrepreneurs are not insistent enough. They waste their time away in doing all the things that they really don't shine in the fullness of their potential doing. And they pay the price. So if you want sustainability, you've got to have the right skills, you've got to have the right motivation, and you've got to have good business acumen. That's for another show, business literacy, creating a sustainable business. But sustainable self, sustainable energy is part of the core. It's part of the ingredient of having a sustainable business. You can't have a business that's making a bunch of money being miserable. Why would you want to spend your days being miserable making a lot of money? You're not going to say that on your last breath. You're not going to say, oh boy, I made a lot of great money but miserable day after day doing all that. It just wasn't worth it. It's not fair. It's not fair to you, your family, your clients, anybody. You owe the world the need to be happy, to be doing things that you enjoy. They want you to be happy. They want you to enjoy your time to relax and enjoy outside work. They want you to enjoy your work. It's not supposed to be hell. Work doesn't need to be hell in order for you to justify or deserve good things. It just doesn't need to be. So, let's continue. We've talked about 1, 2s, and 3s, fatal incompetencies, competencies, and potential incompetencies. And that if you have energy in something that you're not very good at doing, there's some potential there. But yet, it's outside this domain of self-efficacy. You've got your circle and your 4s and your 5s. Now, hopefully during the break, what you've done is you've identified what your 4s and 5s are. Now, if you don't know what your 5s are, you've got some research to do. Make up a list of 10 people that would be direct, honest, transparent with you, that would love you enough to be honest with you. And instead of asking them for constructive criticism, you're going to ask them for constructive, positive feedback. Right? So you're going to go to them and you're going to say, look, outside my traditional role with you, let's say it's a client. What have I done that's provided extraordinary value? I'm asking you to tell me what outside my traditional role is valuable to you. Another thing that you can do is write down the habits that you always do. Now, write this down, I always, and then finish those up. See if you can get to 10 of those. You know, I always listen to individuals and make sure I understand them well. You could say, I always make sure I repeat back what they say. You could say, I always put together this or that with great excellence. You know, these are things that you feel great about. These are things that you know, without arrogance, without hubris. These are facts. These are objective observations. You know you're effective at these things. And they're principle-based. See, they're not just habits that you do automatically. You do them out of your values, right? So you really build that sense of, this is my manner of work. This is how I work with my work product, right? So then you want to take that list out there and maybe just don't say your name. Just say, look, I'm going to randomly show you this list. Now, when you see these 10 habits, who do you think of? And hopefully they say, what do you mean? That's you. Then you know that that's where you're unique. Then you know that's where the world stands in need of you. And you say, okay, great. If you were to identify 3 of these, you go to this person, you say, look, if you were to identify 3 of these, you couldn't have all 10, but at your wish list at Christmas, you want only 3 of these. 3 of these qualities that I'm going to turn into you, what would they be? And they say, well, I want this, this, and this. This is really the best one of you. This is what really, really is the one I'd pick. And then you say, okay, let's look at the impact of that. What would that translate into in terms of how it would impact your future? What would it mean if I were to apply myself like this? What could I eliminate in your life that's dangerous, or things that you're afraid of losing? Or, you have all these great opportunities, these runways in your life where things want to take off. You have things you can do, things within your reach. How could I position these skills in the lane of that? Or maybe you have all these strengths and exciting qualities. See, what you do is you build a bridge. You begin to sign up, align yourself with other people's intrinsic desires, needs, all those things that really make you valuable as a producer, as an individual. But get this. You get that this is not just selling them capabilities that your service offers. People buy people. These are the things that they say, yes, he's got magnetic influence. I love this guy. He's got gravity. I want him more. I want more of that. How can I get more of that from you? See, that's you in your highest possible use to another human being in a way that really, truly serves them. It's almost like a soul service. Yeah, that's where it originates from. You be more of yourself and you're being competitive. Is this getting exciting for you? I bet it is. So you got to do some research. You can ask them, look, what is it about me that is most unique? When you think of me, what are the things that I've taught you that you haven't told me? When you think of why you respect me, what is it that I have done you or shown you or performed for you that has held me that way with you? Again, these are vulnerable questions, but they're great questions. You need to know them to compute. You can't just see it from yourself, your own relative truth. You've got to see it from the whole. So you may want to do that. Now, you've got your 4s and your 5s. Okay, you know those activities that are composed of your domain of self-efficacy. Outside that is foul territory. However, you've got to look at what you're going to do with these 3s. What it might mean for you if you continue focusing your attention on a 3. Because there's hope for you. And maybe if that energy could get bigger and bigger as your skill gets better and better, it may mean that a 3 is going to become a 4. See, 3s are kind of the middle game. Some 3s we say, no, I'm going to put them on the side of 2s and 1s. And some you might say, I think I could become a 4 in that. And maybe even a 5. It just serves my outcome enough for me to stay with this. I'm going to stay committed to this. I'm going to choose to focus on this. I'm willing to look like a fool for a period of time because my passions are big enough to domineer that sacrifice. And I'm willing to stay within that. So I'll let you be the decision maker on that of 3 up or 3 down. You want to go 3 into 2s and 1s, or you want to send it into kind of the 4th gear or 5th gear. You want to, in the gearbox, you want to put it down to a 1 or a 2, or you want to do 4 and 5. I'll let you determine that. You have to compare and consider your levels of passions and energy to your levels of fatigue of learning it. So when I was learning how to sailboard, let's say, I was so excited about it, but I always wanted to swim into the beach as I'd fall off and get bruises and things. So I really had to put into perspective, was I really willing to make the sacrifices? Did it matter enough to me? Did it serve some outcome enough for me to weather some of those storms that we have to go through as we're assimilating the skill sets? Because assimilating those capacities, man, it's a dark night. I mean, you're going through periods where you're just wishing that you never had to do it again. But yet that real energy that you're getting going, wow, this is really cool. The wind's hitting my face and so forth. So if there's an aspect of your work that you're getting that kind of energy and you're not very good at it, it may make sense to keep it and turn it into a 4 and a 5 and put it into perspective. How much time are you going to work on it and so forth, and what's the outcome that it's in service to? Okay, now there's another part of this. You cannot position 4 and 5 alone. A leader never becomes a leader without having a team around him. Teams make leaders. Leadership is a team sport. We know this. There's no such thing as a leader without a group of people to lead. But there's another item here, and that is, how well you're going to set up your support system. Right? You've got to get a necklace of support around you of individuals that can help you offload this. So we've got to give some thought to support system planning. Now, here is an interesting perspective that you might consider. You're used to probably doing what I call drive-by delegation, right? You just hand it off and so forth. And then what happens is your trust erodes over time. Because you drive-by delegate, the person's less and less equipped to do what you want them to do. And so you take it back, and then you do it again your way and your way and your way, and you've created your own doubt system because your quality of delegation sucks. There's a different way of doing this. What if you could consider from the side of the delegatee, the person that you might hand it off to, what if they were a 4 and a 5 in your 1s and 2s? Just think about that. Think about a person having a 4 and 5 energy level and a skill in a 1 and 2 of yours. See, we don't think of that. We think of a coping mechanism when we delegate. We say, well, I'm going to get this 1 or 2 off my plate. Yeah, I'm going to remove my misery and I'm going to get that out of here. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea. But we never really think about how we're putting someone into their essential self. And I noticed this when I handed something off to an assistant of mine, and she kept asking me for it again and again. She'd say, JD, can you send me that process or that project to do? I just love doing that. And I knew I had a hold of some genius energy. I knew at that point I had tremendous horsepower that I had cultivated in this person. How lucky it felt. It was so easy to delegate. In fact, she'd come to me and ask me, do you have that? Can I have that again? And I want to start my day with that. That's really neat. There was no force feeding. There was no push motivation. It was pull motivation. So I'd like you to think about, as you look at your 1s and 2s, I'd like you to think about who has that kind of energy if you are, in fact, going to delegate it. Now, we're going to use a model here called DEAD, D-E-A-D. You're going to deaden the 1s and the 2s. Here's what DEAD is. You're either going to delegate it, eliminate it, automate it, or you're going to delay it. Okay, so you've got 4 options, but you have to pick one of those 4 and assign that as a plan and maybe give a unit cost to what it's going to take you to do this. You could barter it, trade it. You could find someone, maybe a partner, somebody who would volunteer for it. You could get an intern. You could have someone on your staff do it. You could hire someone to do it, create a position description to do it. So the idea is to think first, who has a 4 and a 5? Who in my Rolodex has a 4 and a 5? And can I build a bridge? Okay, that's the first thing. And when you do that, I want you to sit down and write out a purpose, process, and a payoff for that task. What's the purpose of doing it? What's in it for you? What's the process? How does it work? What are the steps? And what's the payoff for them? Okay, so that's the delegation piece. We're going to tee those up and put a timeline to it. What are you going to do within the next 30 days? You should be taking 5% of whatever you do off your plate every 30 days. That is a mainstay. Okay, that'll equate to 50% of a return. Okay, here we go. So what's the next item? Eliminate. Would it hurt if you really let this thing go? If you just said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to negate that. That's a choice. You may say, I'm not going to operate there anymore. I remember when I was doing a lot of commercial coaching or corporate coaching. I mean, it's just really dragging me through the muck. I really hated it, and I didn't want to delegate it. It wasn't an option for me. It's just tiring. I didn't want to set it. I didn't want to do it as a business. So I just said, let's eliminate that. Oh, boy, did I get energy back from doing that. And all the other activities I got that octane back. They got all that fuel. So instead of having partial concentration, I got back my full focus. Automation. Is there a system? Is there an automated system? Man, there's systems for everything out there. Organization systems, database systems, there's CRM systems. There's online websites that handle certain things. There's systems for everything. So start looking for, if you don't know, start looking for or assigning your assistant or to look for a system to be able to handle that. You might look at that. It may cost you a little bit every month. You may get dinged a credit card fee every month to get that off your plate. But could you bring in a system? Could you software it? Could you automate it for a low amount of money and get leverage? 4, delay it. Don't do it right now. Do it later. Do it in the next 90 days. Start that project then. Put it off. Let people know. Negotiate with them. This is not important right now, but I'm going to get to it. It's not off the deck, but I'm going to get to it. So you choose deliberately to delay it. You either delegate it, eliminate it, automate it, or delay it and make that decision and put together a budget and give yourself a project schedule. What are you going to offload in the next 2 weeks? What are you going to offload in the next 30 days? What are you going to hand off in the next 60 days? Create a 90-day to 6-month delegation plan. Now, I will guarantee you, if you implement and you follow through And maybe you come in, let's say you hire a coach, let's say you want to do the VIP coach, you get the accountability, the clarity, the structure, the kind of motivation you need to stay on this, to not forget it, right? That's the biggest thing. And don't blind yourself. Don't get caught up in more muck. Really keep perspective on this while you keep the control on it. You're going to be effective. And you're going to find that you're going to get all that energy back in your system. You're going to be happier at home. You're going to be happier on all cards. You're going to feel healthier. You're going to feel more focused. You're going to feel more confident. And you're going to become more useful to your marketplace. Your income's going to go up. In fact, I'll make a bet. If you do this, you will get equal or more income coming in from this by getting yourself freed up like a sale than you will directly collecting a check from a customer. I'll tell you that. If you look back this year and you think about the leverage and the impact of just this, you'll make equal or more money from this as you will going out in the marketplace. Now, as always, it's important to implement. You can go to highlevelperformance.com to do that. We appreciate you listening to Radical Creativity from the VIP Coach. I'll look forward to our show coming up in September, and you won't want to miss it. This show talks about the real, down-to-the-ground, no hype, no bullshit stuff that all the entrepreneurs in our program and our 400 alumni are practicing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. We are the real deal. If you'd like more information about the VIP Coach, please fill out our online forum and tell us a little bit about you so that we can see what kind of information to send you and how we can get maybe some help to you in your life. Hiring a coach is probably the smartest thing that you can do when you hit the complexity levels of being a business owner. You need to stay focused. You need to bring into being who you really are as a leader. You need to build a team. You need to be able to make rain in opportunities. You need to be able to establish a strong vision and a sense of direction, and also priority management, and know how to manage your money. You got to be a black belt. That's exactly what we've designed the program from and for. We're entrepreneurs ourselves, and we are for entrepreneurs. So highlevelperformance.com. This is the Radical Creativity Show. This is JD. We'll see you in September. Thank you very much.
For more tools on how to liberate your gifts, become more valuable, and on purpose through radical creativity with executive performance coach John Davidson, visit highlevelperformance.com and be sure to follow John on Facebook. Check back soon to continue the journey toward radical creativity.